Ranking on ChatGPT, answer engine optimization, what is real and what is fake? In today's episode of The Marketing Mechanic, we're going to cover what are the factors you should look for, and I'll share with you some examples of where even I've made some mistakes and be tricked, in the hopes that you're not tricked either. I'm Dennis Yu, this is The Marketing Mechanic show, and we're going to help you from the perspective of a former search engine engineer, me, go through what is real and not, and what principles you can take forward to discover how to actually improve your marketing. This afternoon, I was tagged in this post. Other friends of mine said, Dennis, you got to check this out. This guy, Lane Hook, is making fun of you because he saw your post. You probably saw a couple weeks ago, I had an episode on how AEO is basically a joke, how search engine optimization or optimizing for ChatGPT are basically the same thing. And whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or whatever the latest flavors, Perplexity, Anthropic, these are just different flavors of search engines. And as a search engine engineer, let me tell you what search engines are looking for and what's real and what's not. First off, you've probably seen in the last couple of years, there's a lot of focus on prompts, like it's an abracadabra, magic phrase. And people were selling, as we predicted, these ebooks saying, here's the 15 magic prompts. And if you just give the magic formula, abracadabra, open sesame, then the AI will unlock all these special features. Well, it's really your ability to communicate with other humans, your ability to manage a team member, whether it's human or not, to do the work, your ability to organize the training that you give it, the onboarding, the access to the data, not the magic abracadabra words that you say. So what we really want is proof. If you're documenting what you are doing functionally, maybe you have an onboarding function, maybe let's say you're in local SEO and you have a way for building websites that's a repeatable process using ingredients. Maybe you're a Dallas plumber and you've got a lot of evidence of plumbing jobs that you've done, water heaters that are in different suburbs of Dallas, in Euless, in Garland, in Plano, in Flower Mound, and other areas showing you actually have the proof. The actual raw ingredients are more important than the magic words, the prompts on generate images of plumbers that are fixing different things, generate an image of Mrs. Smith as she's very happily getting serviced by this landscaper with the beautiful green lawn and the 3 kids in the background playing with the golden retriever. That's what prompting is. Prompting, I don't even want to use the prompting because if you're having a conversation with somebody, shouldn't you just learn how to have active listening, how to really understand and critically think, how to be able to go back and forth to problem solve and clear up miscommunication, misunderstandings as part of a series of discussions, building a relationship over time, not a one-liner pickup, hey baby, that's kind of what the prompt is. Second, and you've seen a lot of this, there's auto-generated content. And we saw folks that would auto-generate millions of blogs, and they would literally get hundreds of thousands of visits until they got hammered. Millions of websites got hammered, and I haven't seen a single one that's gotten their re-inclusion request approved. So they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I accidentally auto-generated 1 million blogs. Or if you're a local service business, you probably have a lot of location service pages where these pages are all kind of the same. So every one of these city pages looks just like all the other city pages, just swapping out the names. Now, that technically taken too far where you create like 5 city pages are good, let's create 1,000 city pages. That's called scaled content abuse. And Google says, yes, they do penalize for that, but they usually don't because it's like jaywalking or speeding where there's so many people doing it. I talked to Philip, the head of search quality at Google, and he said, well, is it technically helpful if you have a Dallas plumbing website and then you have Garland and Euless and Fort Worth plumbing, they're all kind of the same thing, or maybe you swap it up a little bit using AI tools. It's not like it's necessarily bad for the user, but it's clear that the intent is to try to trick the search engine, meaning tricking me as a search engine engineer, on how it's being done. And if you're an SEO person, if you're Lane Hook or anyone else trying to represent that you're an expert, consider this. When you say that you are an SEO expert, whatever you want to call it, you're actively telling everybody that your role is to trick the search engine, right? Think about that. You're advertising, you're saying like, I'm a thief. My job is to break in and steal and do these things that are manipulative, as opposed to taking real ingredients, real experience. So imagine instead of auto-generated pages on 5 ways to save money on your water heater this summer or whatever it might be, imagine you have pictures and stuff in your company cam, in your service titan, on your phone, reviews that people are leaving, people checking in on social media, you going to your son's football game, all these things that place you as a Denver roofer, right? You're a Denver roofer. Are there things that show that you have real experience in Denver? There's other people that are involved, that you're involved with Denver businesses, you're involved with, hiking in Denver, and that you're doing roofing, and you're at roofing conferences, and you're with other roofers, and you're with other contractors that you work with as part of roofing, the general contractor, the landscaper, the HVAC guy, the real estate agent that's coordinating all of this. The relationships that we'd expect that if you're a Denver roofer, then who would you know to localize you in Denver? And you're flying in and out of DIA Airport, which has that weird blue horse with the red eyes, and all the things about being a roofer. You're hanging out with other roofers, you're training your team, you're hiring new roofers, you're up on the roof, you're doing a commercial roof, a residential roof. There's all this stuff to be able to prove that you actually have real experience versus auto-generating a lot of stuff. I don't care how good that software is. I saw a software yesterday, I don't think it was Signal Genesis, which is Lane Hook, it was some other one, where they have a $2,500 a month plan, a $4,500 a month plan, and like some ultimate SEO plan for $10,000 that has all the AI, all the latest AI, right? But how can it be legit if it's not actually grabbing your real experience? It's just generating stuff. And so we like to say that the key difference between what's fake versus what's real is understanding that AI is a translator, not the source. If you have real pictures, images, videos, this is why it's so hard for whether it's people peddling software or it's agencies. If you, as that contractor, don't have proof of you fixing toilets and being on the roof and doing all the stuff, being an electrician or cutting the tree down or all that, if you don't have that proof, then no amount of translating is going to allow us to, you could generate all you want. And yeah, the AI is so good, I can't even tell, is this actually Dennis or not with the real whiteboard? This is me. This is actually me. This is, November 19th? No, November 19th, 2025. This is real. But it's not just that it looks real, it's that you can trace the provenance, trace where that came from all the way back to what's on the phone. So if you look at what's on your phone and showing real pictures and videos of the things that you do, all of these things, these are things that I'm actually doing, I'm hanging out with these other people, I'm flying to these different countries, there's a ton of proof of this. Like here, I'm wearing my dope hoodie. And Dave Carroll gave me this hoodie. There's proof of that. You can actually see when that occurred in Minnesota. And so when you show, we had an event a couple of weeks ago, we flew in a bunch of our team members, we went hiking, we made videos, we ate steak together, we saw magic shows, I bought plane tickets and checked people in, you can see the boarding passes, right? There's real proof of that. The trick is, how do I get that real proof from, the real proof sits here in this first bucket. How do I get it, process it using these different tools so then it can live on your YouTube and Instagram and website and Google Business Profile and Reddit and Quora, all the other places, directories. If I want to have all of these things posted, not auto-generated nonsense that came from nothing, but drawing from the real raw experience of EEAT, what Google calls experience, expertise, authority, trust. Before ChatGPT launched, about 3.5 years ago, Google intentionally published a blog post, and it said why we are changing EAT to double EAT, why we added an E to be EEAT, because that first E is experience. They added the real authoritative raw ingredients of experience before ChatGPT launched. This shows you how smart they are, because they knew that people were going to just auto-generate the stuff like crazy and abuse these tools. And who wouldn't want to sign up for this AI tool that's going to do all these great things that often does work in low competition markets? So, I'm guilty. I paid Lane Hook $10,000 for Signal Genesis, tried it. We have all the documented results. He can say whatever you want about what an expert he is, but we've documented everything on what worked and what didn't. And to be fair, I tried a bunch of these other tools because I thought, well, why not? Let's just see what they have. But at the end of the day, Almost every one of these shortcuts has failed in the last 30 years because if it doesn't tie back to real experience of you as a real estate agent in San Diego, of you as a landscaper in Indianapolis, like Anthony Hilp, then if you're decoupled from actually having to be good at the thing that you do based on the signals of real reviews, the signals of your website loads fast, the signals of your customers are talking about you, you're involved with the Chamber of Commerce, like real signals. If this is not necessary, then you're right. All these other AI expert people, they can just if they don't need this, they can just generate stuff all day long instead of having the source. Look at what Danny Liebrandt had to say a couple days ago on his Local Marketing Secrets podcast. He was with the Pest Control Kings, and Jake Sheldon and the other guy, and he said that Google doesn't rank the website. Google ranks the entity. In other words, Google doesn't rank the YouTube channel or rank the Google business profile. It ranks the underlying entity. It ranks your business. That's the entity. It ranks you as a person. It ranks the product. It ranks the city. So you're in Euless, Texas, right? That's the entity. You're a plumber in Euless, Texas. This is your name. This is Mrs. Smith's house. Those are all entities. The underlying actual thing, person, place, thing, company, that's what we're talking about with entity optimization. When you look at these people talking about SEO, they are saying, look, they don't even know what the Google Knowledge Graph is, which is the big database of all the things, all the entities, and then the entity object, the website for that entity, the Facebook for that entity, your roofing business, for example. It's these things that are signals of what the underlying real proof is. That's what all these SEO AI people don't want to admit. And all the people that are selling all this SEO AI nonsense, these are the people who were peddling, ranking #1 in Google a few years ago. And a couple of years before that, they were peddling crypto. Before that, they were peddling social media influence. I'll make you 1 million followers, or you need to be on Clubhouse. Remember that back in COVID days? They hop to the latest fad because they're hoping you will fall for it, just like maybe you fall for the latest weight loss thing. If you take this one magic acai berry, you're going to lose 50 pounds before summer. Isn't it the same promise? Do you not spot this? So think about this. If you have what's real proof, real experience, real demonstrations of your crews going about and driving to Mrs. Smith's house and going inside and fixing her appliances or doing her roof or fixing the water heater, or like actual stuff not taken by professional videographers, but real things that put you at the scene of you doing the work, right? Judge Google is looking at this. You have real proof instead of mass-generated content. The trouble with mass-generated content is it starts from here instead of from here. You see the difference? When you start from here and you say, Grok or ChatGPT or whatever, just generate all this stuff, like generate a whole website. We have a whole special formula, secret way that you would never understand because it's proprietary. Really? You're saying that me as a search engine engineer and the other people that I've trained over the last 3 decades don't see through that? You don't think we can tell what's real or not? It's like passing a lie detector test. So if you learn how to lie the right way and put a tack on your toe to like try to, or breathe a certain way, or try to meditate to fool the lie detector is looking at your breathing, your sweating, your voice, your blinking, your skin temperature. You might be able to fool us on a couple of these factors. But what the search engine engineers, not the SEO marketing salespeople, those are all salespeople, they all sound very good. They're like people in the car dealership where they talk a good game, you don't really know. But if you talk to a mechanic, the person who actually works on the car, the person who designed and built the car, then you understand that you have to actually be able to do the thing. And us as mechanics, there's a few of us, can actually tell what is real or not. The average person can be tricked because you give that car a new paint job and then Mrs. Smith doesn't know any better, but the mechanic like me wants to pop the hood. And in 10 seconds, I can see whether it's real or not. Whatever. Oh, they want to argue about the tool. Oh, I use this hammer versus that hammer, this screwdriver versus, I like Ahrefs versus Google Business Profile versus SEMrush, which was just bought by Adobe. It doesn't matter that much what the tool is. What matters is it pretty obvious to tell if it's real content or auto-generated? I think so. like someone who's 500 pounds and 5'2", you don't need a scale. Like you can obviously tell that they're a little bit overweight. Okay, they're not skinny, right? Like the one that Lane Hook made of me. Yeah, you know what? This actually is accurate because a couple of years ago it was Fat Dennis. And yes, I am the guy on the internet talking about my days back at Yahoo as a search engine engineer and how I said AEO is a joke. Yeah, that's what I said. The irony is, look at this. This is fake. So this guy is doing the very thing that I am saying it's not a real picture, right? He's doing this. He's generating, I guess, isn't that deliciously ironic? The guy who's trying to attack me is doing the very thing that I'm saying. This is how you spot who's real or not, right? Like if you want to tell if someone's knowledgeable about SEO, go look at their websites and see what they rank on, right? Go look at any of these guys' websites. Go look at your website. Go look at the website of the agency. Oh, but I'm so busy working on the clients, I've never had time for my own stuff. The cobbler's son has no shoes argument, right? Or who are they associated with, which is the similar neighborhoods that you link to. Not just for linking purposes and backlinks, but if you claim that you are an expert in search engine optimization, do we have a lot of friends in common? Did you work at Google or Yahoo? Are you known by other people who are well respected in that industry? Like if you are, in the garage door space, and you claim that you know so much about scaling a garage door business, and you don't know Tommy Mello, and you're not friends with Tommy Mello who runs A1 Garage, I would say, well, maybe you do have a, $1 million garage door business, but Tommy Mello runs the conference. Tommy Mello has the biggest garage door business. Tommy Mello has a few $100 million of private equity money. Tommy Mello is a good friend of mine. There's lots of pictures and videos of that. So you can look at trust in different ways. Is that real experience there? Are you connected with the right people? Is there real proof that's demonstrating that you've installed a bunch of garage doors in the 45 different markets or whatnot that Tommy operates in, right? Real reviews, right? Instead of just stuffing a bunch of fake keywords or buying what's called CTR traffic. This is the latest thing going on right now. You've probably seen on Instagram, on Facebook and whatnot, all these guys saying, I guarantee that you're going to rank #1 in map results. So they show this thing with all the red dots. And this is what we call the map grid results. So they show the map, red dots, red dots, red dots, red dots, like not in the first 20. And then they say, now it's all green dots. Now they're ranked #1 on Roofing Denver, or they don't even say what the term is, but let's just say Roofing Denver. And now this business is making millions of dollars, and in 30 days, and it's guaranteed and all that. Really? Well, what are they actually doing? Either A, they're not delivering, which is usually the case, or they're claiming to rank on a keyword that doesn't matter, or if it does seem to work, they're doing something that's called gray hat or black hat, which is trickery. For example, buying gaming traffic that is organized by IP address. So if they're doing this for you as a Denver roofer, then they're going to send a bunch of Denver traffic that Google will see is like people who actually live in Denver and are playing video games and earning coins to, they earn one free treasure chest if they go there and leave a review because they actually are in Denver. But are they actually a customer of that roofing company? Have they created a way to try to pretend that it's a real review and hope that it doesn't get nailed, or eventually are you going to get caught? The latest thing, what was the company? Monik Bond, who ironically bought Lane Hook's company. He was telling me about CTR manipulation and how it works. What is CTR? So you think of CTR, if you're in the world of ads, as click-through rate, but it's actually different. So let's say you're ranking #5. This is what Monik will tell you. There's videos on this. This is not like I'm making this up. He will admit this is what they're doing. Let's say you're ranking #5 on Denver roof replacement. Then these, other guys are ranked ahead of you. Maybe they have more reviews. Maybe they have more link juice. Maybe they have more trust. Maybe they have more of these things legitimately, right? It's not just because you want to rank ahead of these other guys. You have to prove to Judge Google that you actually deserve to be ahead of them. Well, what they would do with CTR manipulation, and ask Monik Bond, ask Lane Hook how this works. They'll admit that this is true. They can't argue this. They might not like me mentioning, magicians don't like when people explain like how the red bunny comes out of the hat, right? But this is what it is. They can't argue this. This is what they do. They set up a bunch of bots all over the world. And they come in and type in Denver roof repair. And they go down to find your result. Let's say it's #5. And they click on that. And then, if it clicks on it, it goes to your Google Business Profile or it goes to the website. And then they linger on the website for like a minute and a half they go click on some of the other pages to simulate what a user would do. And they even are sophisticated enough to be able to rotate traffic, to be able to simulate if you're coming in on a Chrome browser on Mac versus Windows versus whatever, and to try to fake what the signature of a real user would look like. And then they'll only send like 5 or 10 per day, right? But if you're, I think Monik told me that, so funny, his last name is Ban, even though it's, I think it's B-H-A-N instead of like being banned by Google. But maybe you're in the 43rd position, right? Well, if all of a sudden this guy in the 43rd position is getting 20 clicks a day, Google looks at that and says, wow, maybe this site should move up in the ranking. So, but imagine, like that looks suspicious, but imagine that, you know, you're Google and you're looking, because everyone knows now, because it was admitted with the DOJ lawsuit with Apple and all that, Google had to admit how their algorithm works, and they mainly use Chrome clickstream behavioral data, right? So if people are clicking on that number 5 or number 6 result more than number 3 or 4, Google's like, oh, this must be a good result, and they start moving it up. That's called CTR manipulation. And there's all the tricks on how do you try to make it look real, how do you, the bots that are coming in, they might even look more real than you are, because maybe you don't have a profile online, because you protect your privacy, you don't want to show your kids. So these bots have a LinkedIn profile, they have websites, their bios are filled out properly, they look even more real than we do. I mean, I saw this when I was at Yahoo and we had to kill millions of bots that were creating fake dating profiles and then recycling Russian credit cards and all that kind of stuff. We had to try to determine what was real or not. And it was so hard because the real users, they had less signal than these bots, right? So we're very familiar with this over the last 30 years. It's just the same game. People will dress it up, give it a new name, but it's still the same game of fake traffic, fake signals, auto-generated stuff. Last piece, mass distribution. And this is what we had spent 10 grand on with Signal Genesis. Lane swore up and down. I've got all the Zoom calls. If you want them, I'll send them to you. He walked us through it. We documented the whole thing because I knew this day would come. And so if you have content on your website, blogs, I don't care how you wrote the blogs. I don't care if it was an expert copywriter. I don't care if it was a human or not that wrote it, or you believe that you can fool Google. Okay, fine. I'll give you all that. Let's pretend all of that's true. Well, then what we do is we just mass distribute that, and we create what's called a Google stack. If you're in the world of SEO, you probably have heard of this. It's all the rage, Google stack, right? All the stacks. Go look at Lane Hook's profile and see what he's doing with Google stacking. Usually means trickery, but look at it. Ask ChatGPT, is this legit or not, right? Don't ask me, just ask. Look at the quality rater guidelines that Google publishes every year and say, is this legitimate or not? Or to what extent is it not? So what typically happens, and this is true with a lot of these PR companies, is they say, okay, we will distribute you in Forbes Inc. and Entrepreneur and 100 other directories, all of these, Business Wire and Yahoo News and all these places, and it looks good, and you think, well, dang, they're going to put me in all these places, because if I'm in, and if you hear Forbes Inc. Entrepreneur, it's almost guaranteed to be a scam, right? We'll get you in Forbes Inc. and Entrepreneur, when really they're just paying a few dollars for press release distributions, right? So just because you're paying for mass distribution doesn't guarantee rankings, because Google and ChatGPT and Meta know that those are paid press releases. We'll get you in the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, so that article that's somewhere in the Wall Street Journal on the press release section gets no traffic, has no rankings, passes no juice, it's a no follow link, all of those signals that show the search engine, this isn't real. It's not the same as earned media. Earned media is you actually were covered in the news, not because someone paid for a submission, they mass submitted all this stuff, but for example, I actually was on CNN in the studio. I actually was interviewed by the Washington Post about Facebook and cybersecurity and how dollar a day and the Facebook ad algorithms work. I actually am friends with Tommy Mello and have spoken at his conference, right? That's the kind of thing that someone who is operating the shadows and is operating mass distribution software can't do, because they can't publish on my site. They can't publish on the New York Times legitimately. They can't, they can get 1 million followers, they can put stuff on these other sites, but it's not real. You see, earned media, this is what almost no one understands. Like, people will pay for Forbes Counsel. I hope you haven't done that. A couple $1,000s a year, and you can pay to be, and by the way, if you're in real media, you know that things like Forbes Counsel are fake, right? Where someone pays to be able to put basically a press release on the Forbes website. Doesn't pass any juice. It's pure vanity. Doesn't drive rankings. But they don't know that because I'm in Forbes, right? There's real media where you're being covered by the trade association, the National Association of Roofers, or whatever it might be. 2 weeks ago, we were at Service World, which is a bunch of HVAC contractors in Vegas, and I interviewed Joe Crisara. I interviewed Marco Cipolla. Marco interviewed some of these other people. That's real. That's real media. That is in person. That's a real podcast, right? That's put on YouTube. That's put on someone else's website. Dylan Haugen was interviewed by the Star Tribune, which is the big newspaper TV thing in Minneapolis. That is real earned media. If you have to pay for it, it's not earned media. If you have to pay for someone to do the job, then they're a prostitute. They're not it's not a wife, okay? But people love mass distribution because it looks so easy, it costs so little. We're being distributed across 300 different outlets that potentially could have 1 trillion people. There's not even 1 trillion people on the planet, right? But that doesn't stop them from fluffing things up, right? And so you see lots of tools that play in these different spaces, from magic secrets to mass generating content in different ways, especially for local, because plumbers don't understand, right? You're a plumber, you're a contractor, you don't know. I mean, it sounds good. You're busy doing plumbing stuff, right? To stuffing keywords, buying fake links, mass distribution, of which link buying is kind of part of that. But think about it just for a second. The stuff you see on late night infomercial TV, isn't it the same thing? People are promising shortcuts. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. So let's look at what is real or not. What is real versus fake? You want to rank in ChatGPT? We know that ChatGPT is a layer that sits on top of the search engines and the underlying data. There's real proof and experience here. That can be processed through whatever your favorite AI tool. The AI tools are translating and processing these raw ingredients, right? I guess if you're like Lane Hook, you can just use like red number 5 and make Cheetos, of which I don't think there's any real natural ingredients. That's why they can last for 20 years and never spoil. You can just generate stuff without having to have any proof. You don't actually have to be an actual plumber, right? Lane Hook was demonstrating to me, using his software, on how he's trying to rank for a white label SEO provider. I think he ranks number 34 now, which doesn't even, no one goes to position 34, right? He's tried over and over and over again, created all these articles, distributed across thousands of different sites using the software, right? I paid him a lot of money for that too. And then maybe you can run ads against it, or you can share that, or link to it from your website. This like 3-way combo he mentioned on how software works, right? But do you guys see why, even though it sounds appealing and how these guys all sound like they're super sophisticated, it's not real. Here's the way to determine in one sentence if it is real SEO or fake SEO, or AEO, answer engine optimization. Are they starting from raw, real ingredients of proof? If you are a good contractor, that will be reflected in the mirror. That will be amplified. That will be translated. That will be propagated to your social media, to your Google business profile, to your website, to your LinkedIn, all of that, right? Because ultimately, digital is a reputation multiplier. AI is just a smarter layer that sits on top of the existing information layer of all these different entities. So when you look at something and you see content like this, ask yourself, is it real? Is it based on real experience? Is it said by someone who's a salesperson as to someone who's a practitioner? Not the same thing. And I hope, my friends, this will protect you from all the other people that are out there trying to peddle the latest and greatest AI hype. Take it from a real engineer who has seen every flavor of this every year, and I hope you are protected. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. I hope you like, comment, and share. Let me know. What do you think?